Hello, welcome back everybody. Welcome to your self-healing body, how to use emotion, energy, and intuition to raise your joy and vitality. I'm Dr. January Suarez, your host, and today we have Mona Delfino with us. She is a beautiful, intuitive, and shamanic healer, and she has so much wisdom and beauty to share with us today. Welcome, Mona. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Dr. January. It's fun. I love this. I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I want to start with the fact that one of the things I love that you talk about is that the physical body is a reflection or sort of maybe an end manifestation of the emotional part of ourselves, the mental part of ourselves, the spiritual part of ourselves,
yes,
and
absolutely.
how they interact. Yes, could you start with just opening us up with that?
Sure, I'd love to talk about it. First of all, just for your audience, I'd like to say that I've been doing this work for a very, very, very long time, and about 45 years I'm going on now to just saying doing the work. I'm 60. I know, hard to believe, I know, but it's really funny because that amount of time you learn by reading people, and you read, when I read energy, to me it was natural when I was born. So I have an innate understanding of what causes disease, what causes illness, what causes anything that's related to any problems in our physical body. Everything has a reason. And in science, it'll tell you there's no such thing as random, really, because it's all based in some purpose, some reason. And so, and in our bodies, we have conditions. So the condition is based in something that's happening, and the body has a language. So it basically tells us more about what the legs are for, and what does it mean when our back goes out, you know, and so when the body goes through something, the body is the last to know. I always say the body's the last to know. The reason I say that is because your emotional body and your mental body and your spiritual body, you cannot have a physical body without the other three. It's one unit. So it works and it transmutes and understands, it recognizes. The body is the physical machine, the one that does what the other bodies are saying. So that's how it works. Not everybody explains it like that, but I will, because the cells are basically working for you. They're your cells. So you're the temple of what it is that you're creating. So that's how it works. The physical body is actually going to tell you what is off. What's off. And it can be what's off in your thinking, what's off in your soul, what's off from your heart. When we carry anger, obviously, anger is a form of emotion that can lead to certain cancers. It can lead to liver problems. It can lead to headaches. It can lead to many things. The emotions of your body are going to lead to everything else that happens. If you are happy and you have forgiven things and you have worked through problems or situations that we all have, everyone has them, it's because we're here to learn, we're here for lessons. So when we do that, the rest of the whole thing becomes one big unit. So we are basically that. So we have to learn how to understand that the body is running through emotional causes. Mostly, I would say 70% of anybody's disabilities is usually emotional. It doesn't have to be from this lifetime. We have to remember that we become very linear when we try to learn in education. Spirit's not linear. It never has been, never will be. It is huge, and it has a lot of information in one unit. So like you can carry emotions, you can carry mental thoughts, okay? Your body's going to tell you that you are. Your body's going to tell you are. A lot of people who are really mentally oriented and don't feel their heart will carry a lot of problems up here in the shoulders, because the shoulders are about what you are carrying in life and how you don't, sometimes people really don't trust. And if they don't trust, it ends up in the muscle. It ends up, the muscles actually take on that protection. So we have to be careful of things like that. We have to be careful to understand that protection is not the way to go. Protection does not lead to safety. And that's what a lot of people misunderstand. So I would say to understand that safety is not about protection. It's about allowance and learning and being okay with what you're allowing. And then saying, you know what, I'm gonna understand this today. You know, I just had this nasty little phone call. Yeah, it hurt, but I'm going to look at that and say, why does it hurt me? It wasn't my problem. This woman was absolutely, being angry, or she was having a problem. We take on what other people feel. So the physical body is going to inherit your environment. So if somebody yells at you, you're going to immediately have a response that yelling is a problem. And it's like, oh my God, I don't want to be yelled at. I don't want to be yelled at. So what happens is you end up kind of protecting yourself, and your heart stops the joy, because that one moment of trauma is going to lead the rest of the process of your life. So you always have to remember not to take things personally. It's a very, very important thing to understand. So that's the beginning from how the body actually interprets.
Thank you. And so, say some experience, like even as simple as having an angry person on the other end of the line, and then you feel your body react, and then you don't do anything else to release it, whatever you're saying, it could be stored in there. Yeah. What would be one way or a place that somebody could start to actually tap in and release that?
What you do is you've got to remember that we all have lessons. Everybody has lessons. So to take anything too personally, or get angry about this or that, the way someone's teaching and talking and yelling, you don't want to take that on. But the first thing you have to learn is that if you have taken it on, the way you release it is you usually have to understand that the heart knows more than anything, and that the heart is going to feel. And if we don't allow the heart to feel, that ends up later on down the road with certain heart conditions, including heart attacks. Okay. So we have to be able to feel. The one big thing is that feeling is our world. By not feeling, you're not engaging. So it's like you want to engage in life. Life is here for you. If you don't live with engaging because you're shut off, you're not going to have the joy. And people don't have a lot of joy today, if you've noticed. It's because they've stopped themselves from feeling. They don't want to feel pain. So the way that you go through this is you go back to the heart. You can sit down when you're not having any kind of interruption. Turn off your phone, and you might be able to sit down and make a little stairway for yourself. If you think that you're not feeling very much, and you think you've been in this situation, then you want to just sit down quietly. Quiet is perfect. Quiet is the best thing you can do. Silence speaks louder than words ever can. And yes, you can quote me on it. But you take a little ladder, and it comes down here, and you go straight to the heart. If you have to, you put your hand on your heart, and then you can actually start to release it by recognizing that, what do you really love? What's important to you? What are your priorities? You start thinking, what's my passion? Passion will override a lot of times these conditions, but you have to know that if you recognize what it is and that it's there and you're feeling off, you just sit back and you hold your heart. You take deep breaths into the heart. And then you say, I'm just letting go of all angers, resentments, pain, anything that's related to my past that I don't need, because today is a new day. I choose today. The only thing that matters is what you are in the moment. If you carry a storage unit in your body, then yeah, it's gonna affect you somewhere down the road, especially right now, because our astrology people that are out there today are talking about how incredibly intense our world is. And of course we know that, but you also have to remember that chaos leads to magnificence, because in a world that is going through so much chaos, we don't want to worry about the future, because when you start doing that, you're harming yourself. It doesn't work. You want to be able to say, this is interesting, be the observer, but you don't have to buy into everything. You know what I mean? It's like, and you're not even hearing the right stuff anyway out there. They're hiding news from us all the time. So you just want to be able to recognize who you are, your actions, your life, your thinking, your feeling. Everything you're doing is magnifying out into the world anyway. So if people don't think that they're important, or don't think that they're doing anything to help the world, I have news for you. You can be laid up in bed. You can be laid up in bed because you had a surgery, and you will be probably the most powerful person by recognizing that your surgery was important, but you are healing yourself. If you can go through something like that and you become your own healer, you really put it to the test. I don't care if you use placebo. I don't care if you use the power of suggestion. Whatever you use, you give yourself back that I can heal myself. You understand that you can heal yourself. I can go into all that detail, but we don't have time. So, when you understand it, you will get it. And the best part about that is that you are encouraging the world to do the same thing in silence. So the silence speaks louder than words. So this is how I've learned, and this is what I've done. Because, at one point when I got sick, I worked so much. I've been working my whole life in this work. And I did the same thing. I overdid it. I worked too hard. And I had an autoimmune dysfunction for a short time. And I had to learn how to get over that. And when I learned what it was, I asked Spirit for help. You can always ask, And I asked Spirit for help. And I started to see signs of other people that reminded me of people from my past. And when I started to see that, I went, oh my God, these are all the people that didn't like me for some reason, and that was their own reasons. It wasn't my problem, it was theirs. But it used to bother me because when I was a child, I was more of a pleaser because I was an observer, but I didn't want to get anybody upset about anything. So it hit me, down the road that I was still trying to please people who were really mean. And
Is autoimmune, it really is the body, quote, attacking itself. So are you talking about that experience of feeling it?
Yes, the autoimmune can be anything, fibromyalgia, it can be cancer, it can be Parkinson's, it can be MS, it can be anything that's rheumatoid arthritis, it can be anything related to closing in on the body. And every single autoimmune dysfunction has a thought form associated to it. And that's what I teach. It's that these thought forms are about how you feel. Like, for example, Parkinson's, big one. Parkinson's is where, and you're seeing a lot more of it today, because a lot of people feel that they never got back what they put out in the world. So in other words, subconsciously, their belief is that they put so much out in the world. They've done all this stuff, you're seeing actors and musicians and other people that are getting this. And what happens is they did so much in the world, but somewhere inside them, they don't feel like they got anything back. Maybe they didn't get the recognition they thought they should. Maybe they didn't get the amount of money they thought they should. It could be anything like that. But or that's really the most important. Maybe they didn't get the pat on that back, And what it does is it leaves them feeling like their life was worthless, like they didn't get what they thought they should get. I've seen it so many times, and Parkinson's is like that. And I don't hesitate talking about any of the autoimmune dysfunctions because every one of them has a reason.
And then once somebody like you, it sounds like you recognized what was happening by asking for signs, asking Spirit, and starting to acknowledge and work through and heal those pieces. Then your body shifted. Is that right? Your body
completely changes. Oh yeah, it completely changes, because when you have the two or more gathered and you've got a connection of a reason, most people don't get that. Most people think they're victims to their bodies. Instead of knowing that they're in charge of their body, they're the ones that are creating their body. So it's not to feel bad about it. You don't want to go there. You don't want to feel bad about it. Why didn't I know this sooner? Nobody did. We're all in this process of learning. So you listen and you go, wow, that's cool information. I'm going to remember that. And then people that have these kinds of, situations going on in their body, and you kind of go, that fits.
Yeah. So on that note, I want to let the audience, the listeners, know about the two books that you've written. The first book is The Sacred Language of the Human Body, which I think speaks to itself, right? Yes. And then this new one that you have is The Body Awakens. Can you talk a little bit about that and how the books are different?
Oh, sure. I'd love to. The Sacred Language of the Human Body was a magical book. It was written in Lahaina on a silent retreat that I did for myself for 2 weeks. I didn't have my phone on or nothing. And that book just flew out of my mouth. And a lot of it was stories. A lot of it is information about how you feel about things. So again, it comes right back down to the heart, and so it gives people information. I tell a lot of stories. I share information on, what has happened to me, just so that people know, and then how I worked on through that. And, but it mainly talks about your feelings. It mainly talks about how you are associating yourself to a problem. Like if your father got mad at you at the age of 3 or 4 and yelled at you and you didn't know why, your whole pattern around that is going to be, I'm in survival. So I
I
talk.
was just laughing because I have, I have a similar father situation. So yeah, I've been working on that for
Must be why I'm talking
the
about
last
it.
20 years.
So, yeah, so there you go. But it's the pattern that we created for safety. Again, it's survival. And so and that's scientific. I mean, between the ages of 5 and 7, we are actually coming back in our bodies now from the other lifetimes. And now we have to decide, we're already grown up in some ways at that time, because you're making decisions. How am I going to be in the world? How am I going to allow my mom and dad to talk to me without being hurt? How am I going to feel okay if I don't get a chance to play at recess? These are the things that come out, and then you have to feel, but a lot of people grow up with those feelings, and they feel that they've been gypped, or they feel like they were never heard, or they feel that they're bad people because they got scolded so much. So, you have to remember, that's what that book is about. That book talks about how we have developed through a lot of survival. And then how did it end up in the body? So then I talk about the places in the body that carry. Your arms are about carrying, your low back is about support. Your kidneys are about whether or not you're pissed off. What are you pissed off about? Same with bladder. You just look at the condition, and you can see an interesting correlation between an emotion and the body. A lot of people have colon problems, and it goes on and on like that. But that's what's in the first book. So the sacred language of the human body is very much associated to that. This new book coming out, it's been 5 years, and this new book coming out is a sequel to this other one. And the Body Awakens is during the new time of our lives where everything is in chaos. And the beautiful part is that we're awakening through chaos. And so the chaos, it opens up doors so that we can learn how to rebuild, recreate, reimagine, refocus. It's all the re's. And so in this book, this is actually educational, it's scientific. It gives more information about certain stories and why things happen. And so I just have a lot of really good information in there this time. And I did the same thing. I went back to Maui, and I've got, 2 weeks of silent retreat. I did the same thing.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
The Body Awakens will be coming out in August.
Lovely.
Okay.
And so I will have a link in the page so that people can get in connection with your books, in connection with you. And then before we finish, you have a very special treat for us. We talked about something that you could share or guide us through that would help us, again, tap into whatever's stored in there and release it. And so I love the idea of the toning or the humming is a very unique way to do that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do that one. Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. So whenever we do a guided meditation, it's the same thing. You are going through imagination for a guided meditation. So whenever you do any kind of guided meditation, you'll be shocked to know that when you close your eyes and you think of the ocean, in your mind, you can hear the ocean. When you start, your senses come alive. So that's why it's more important than knowledge, because you're actually engaged in it. So again, it has to do with, you can kind of close your eyes and still see the ocean. It's what we do when we dream. So I just wanted everyone to know how important you are and how important the body is. So this particular thing we're going to do is about sound. And sound therapy travels faster, just as fast as light in a lot of ways, but it's deeper, because what it does is it seals the deal. What I've learned with sound, I was a student of Jeffrey Thompson, who's in Encinitas. He's the sound therapist who's been out for 40 years just doing sound therapy on people through sound tables. He can regrow cartilage. We've learned that you can regrow bone. There's things you can do that you didn't know you can do through sound. If you get the right tone and you pull it back into the body, you can regenerate through biofeedback of sound. So it can also help you take out pain. So in this exercise that we're going to do, I'll have everybody just think about a part of the body. Even if you're not in pain, think about a part of the body. Maybe you have poor digestion. Maybe a constipation. Maybe once in a while you get headaches, but you're doing better. It doesn't matter. You want to focus. Everything about intention is about focusing. So you want to imagine your brain or imagine your stomach, imagine your intestines. Through this exercise, pick one part of the body that you're going to want to associate a sound to. Okay, so the sound is going to come through a humming. Now, the humming is important because it's vibration. It actually focuses on the movement of, so in other words, you're not going, ah, you're going, and that is like filling your sinuses and you can feel it all over your body. Humming is important, but when you add an intention to it and you say, okay, I'm going to throw the intention that I want my stomach to feel better. Okay, and so you're going to go ahead and then we're going to hum. And don't worry about the sound of the tone. People get hung up on that. Now, when you're really wanting to regrow bone and get out of cancer and all that stuff, yeah, sound is important for your certain vibration because there are going to be only points where you're ready for this particular sound. You will muscle test to that tone, et cetera, et cetera. In our case, with what we're doing, it doesn't have to be so intense. What we have to do is be able to recognize that the sound that we want to make is going to work. So it doesn't matter even if you're tone deaf. You see, that's the whole thing. So you can sit back and then here, let me show you. Let me show you for just a moment. The first thing I'm going to do is throw a tone at you and you tell me where you feel it. Okay. So I'm going to do a tone for you and then I'll show you when you hum that tone, how different you'll feel on the inside. Okay. So let's do a universal C. So close your eyes. Just give it a second so that it can reach the places it needs to go. Now take a deep breath. And where did you feel that tone?
I personally felt it in the back of my head, into my heart, and kind of like this sphere actually all the way around me. It was beautiful.
It just moves. It keeps moving and it'll hit your low back sometimes. So sometimes the tone that you create is going to go to other places than you intended. You didn't intend that, but it's going to go somewhere.
It knows where to go, right?
It knows where it has to go. Now, if you're only going to do an intention to the, let's say the colon, because a lot of people are having problems with their stomach today. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and put your hand on top of the colon. And then as you're relating to your own colon, you're just kind of feeling, you know, you're just kind of like touching it. And then what will happen is you start to think of like, how do you want to associate to your colon to tell your colon to heal? And no matter what it is, please heal. Please do this because you're telling your body what to do now. Okay, so you're doing that. And then, so you put your hand on top of your colon. And a lot of times with the colon, it's going to be a deeper tone. So you want to hum any note that you feel is going to associate you to your colon. Anybody can do it. And so you just hum. So you might just go, give it a second because it takes a second to really associate to the body. And your intention is the colon here at this point. Your hand is telling the body, it's a sensor. So now there is a connection from a signal to the hand, to the area. There. That's how it works. So everybody at home can do this. And again, it doesn't matter what note you use. So don't get hung up on the note. Just do the toning through your humming and feel the vibration in your body. And then associate it to where you want it to go. It could be your knees. It could be your low back. It could be anywhere.
Awesome, awesome. In fact, I'd like the listeners to let me know today, like, what did you feel when she did the first note? What did you feel? Did you connect to your own colon or did you choose another part of your body? What was your experience? This is really, I find it so fun and creative and imaginative and also very powerful. So
very powerful. There's another one you can do too. You can actually put two fingers. So you put two fingers here on your third eye. So you want to go like that and do a little bit of a higher note and hum. Give it a second. You always have to give it a second afterwards. Now the body vibrates, and your intention, because of where your fingers are, is going directly into that third eye. You can do it also on the top of the head. Same thing. Have a little bit of a higher frequency up here, because it likes the higher frequencies from about here up, thyroid, anything like that. Higher frequency. Okay, that's why colon is deeper, low back is deeper. So that gives you an idea. Doesn't matter what it is, enjoy, because that's how you will learn. And then suddenly, you know what will happen? You'll start, if you do this 3 or 4 different areas of the body and you give yourself that time, you go look in the mirror when you're done and watch your eyes sparkle. Because you will tell that you can breathe better and your eyes are brighter. It's part of the reaction that you are replacing and rebuilding in your body.
Beautiful, beautiful. I want that for everybody.
I can't wait to find out how people feel when they do it. It's really fun.
Yeah, we'll stay tuned. Okay, so thank you so much for being with us today, Mona. It was super enjoyable. And I also just want to let people know you have an upcoming retreat in September in Mount Shasta.
Yes, I would love people to join us. It's going to be in Mount Shasta. We have the most phenomenal retreats in Mount Shasta. Not any two are alike. They're always different because we have different people and different frequencies, and the mountain is totally 100% into that with us. Every time I go, it's just like, hi, how you doing? You know, so we have a really good time. There's a lot of things we do, a lot of things we learn. I will teach about understanding what it means to heal, what it means to understand biofeedback, what it means to understand emotion, talk about compassion and gratitude, things like that. And then we do exercises to show you. And then you go home with a lot of information. There's a lot to it, but it's fun. And so I already have a house that we're going to do a log cabin, and it's September 13th. 14th and 15th. So it's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if you're interested, go to my website. We just decided yesterday we were going to do another retreat because one is already sold out for August. And then we're going to put this one up for September 13th, 14th, and 15th. And so within a week, if you want to do it, get on sacredreconnections.com. And you can just go to my website and the PayPal button will be right there. You can sign up for it and we'll get you going. It's not that expensive either. I try to keep it minimal so people can afford it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Mona. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you, January. It was really fun. Love you. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.